All right, welcome in, welcome back. It is FF Dynasty 260 proudly presenting episode 17 of the Redraft Podcast. This week, we're going back to week 13 and looking ahead to week 14. Pat is out again. He's closing on a house, moving into a new one. So congratulations, Pat. Best wishes out to you. And unfortunately, Mike and both Danny are out sick. It's that time of year, especially in the Northeast. But I'm here acting as host, joined by our good friend John. I am the at-home dad. You can find me on Twitter at FFD at home dad. John, tell the people where they can find you.
This is John McGlynn. You can find me on the Twitter machine at meathead_75. And yes, I think anybody I know is sick right now. So some kind of ailment's going around. So sorry about the lack of hosts here today, but we'll be back better than ever next week.
The best thing about that, though, is you have John and I that are just going to make up this whole show as we go. No rules, just fun. It's like a party at Outback right now. That's a theme song happening.
I'm talking about.
But definitely be sure to follow all of us. And make sure you follow our main Twitter handle over at FFD260. Tons of content, tons of giveaways. We got guys all over the place, so you get lots of different insight into everything. And all the news and updates you need, especially getting ready for that playoff push. John, how's your playoff picture looking right now in your leagues?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm in 13 leagues, and I made the playoffs in just one of them. It's awesome. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm in a neighborhood league, which I should be dominating. And I believe it or not, I have Saquon Barkley. I have my 4 running backs this year. I have the best. I honestly have probably the best of all. I have Saquon Barkley. I have Christian McCaffrey. I have Joe Mixon. I have Baker Mayfield, Chase Daniel. It's a 2-quarterback league. Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, DJ Moore. I have Stephon Diggs, and I lost my league with those running backs. I don't know how you can lose a league with those running backs to begin with, but it's I lost the tiebreaker, so that one hurts the most because I won it 4 times in a row, and I've lost it 3 years in a row on BS.
See, this is where I want to go with this. Is what I mean. You did it already. Is what lineup do you have that you're like sitting here at week 14? Like how am I not in the playoffs? Because I have one of those too. I have 8 leagues that I really am following, and I'm in the playoffs in all but 2 of them. And one of them is a league that I've been in for 8 straight years, and maybe 9 years now. And literally, this league sucks all the bad luck out of all my other leagues. But it's so frustrating because it's one of my longest running leagues. And literally everything bad can and will happen to me in this league. But then, like, I get halfway decent luck in all my other leagues. So it kind of like pays off in the end. But listen to this. I got Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper, Trey Burton, Doug Baldwin. Who else do I have in there? I have Cooks. I had Devonta Foreman sitting in IR the whole time, which didn't help at all. But Sutton, who just had a great game. Like, this is a squad that literally I just barely missed the playoffs by a win. And I started the season 0-7.
I bet, it hurts so much. I've been there before, though. I've been in these leagues where I had this awesome team, and everybody at the draft says, "Oh man, who do I write the check to? You or your wife?" And They tell me all the time, "Oh, you won this league. You won this league." And then you get to the week 5 or week 6, and you look, and you're the highest scorer in the league, but you got the most points against too. And it's like, you got to be kidding me! How do my 300 points pass everybody else? In scores against in only week 5. How does that happen?
At week 7, after week 7, when I was 0-7, at the height of my 0-7 run, I was in the middle of the pack for points scored, but points again, I was over 200 points greater than the next closest team. In a league where yeah, the scoring's weird. There's some weird bonuses and stuff like that, but like the scoring, if you're a decent team, you're scoring around like 150. I had teams dropping like 210, 220. Yep. Like I would score like 170 and still lose to like a team by like 50 points. And it's like, I outscored literally everyone else. How does this happen every single week? A week that like a team that like barely like topped 100 points 2 weeks straight, all of a sudden drops like 190. And I'm like, really? Come on.
I have 2,381 points scored against me this year so far. And the guy who's in first place, who's 11-1, has 1,855 points scored against him. That's a 500-point swing in points against. That's ridiculous.
And therein lies the joy and curses of fantasy football.
Absolutely.
Anyway, let's jump into some news. And by the way, people, hopefully you guys are playing in lots of playoffs. Hopefully you guys are still listening for that playoff push. Definitely reach out to us again on any of our Twitter accounts and let us know kind of what you got going on. We'll be glad to help you out with who we think are definitely guys that you should be putting in there. So let's go ahead and jump into some injuries. So we got some big injuries happening right now. AJ Green re-injured his toe. He's going on to IR. If you watch this, you're kind of like, ooh, guy, I am sorry for you. You probably shouldn't have even tried to go back out there.
I can't believe that. Yeah, they had to carry him off the field. He gave it a great attempt. He pushed off, and that was it.
Yeah, he like took one step from the line, and it was like, and he just immediately crumbled. And it's like it hurts to watch a guy of his caliber and what he brings to that team, and what he does for fantasy, which granted is secondary in all of this, but to just watch a guy like that just crumble in sheer agony trying to go out and help his team out.
If this is a turf toe situation, I mean, this ended a lot of people's career. I hope this is something that he can recover from or have surgery or get it taken care of, because this is what ended Deion Sanders. This is what ended endless numbers of fantastic NFL players' careers.
Yeah. And I mean, feet are important, and your toes are a big part of that. Sticking with the foot trend, Greg Olsen, I was warming up for the plantar fascia, ruptured his plantar fascia in his right foot. So you've probably heard of plantar fasciitis, which is when your plantar fascia gets inflamed. He actually ruptured it, which not good.
I don't know if you heard that or not, but he said he knew this was going to happen. Yeah. If you knew this was going to happen, if I knew I was going to have plantar fascia possibly rupture, I wouldn't play if even I knew my fingernail was going to rupture, let alone my entire foot muscle. Like, that's ridiculous.
Now, did he say he knew like this particular thing was going to happen? Because the way I heard it was more like he knew another injury was coming. Like he knew he wasn't like fully healed, but he was going to keep playing knowing that there was going to be some injury happening in the future. But either way, it's sad. He's completely done, and quite possibly well done, like career over, which would, again, another guy who's been so pivotal to kind of the football that we watch nowadays, and to that Carolina team, to just be gone now because of an injury like this. And one that he felt was coming, which is, again, just even that much more brave on his part to be like, yeah, I kind of thought something bad was going to happen. And sure enough.
Yeah, I know Greg Olsen's been a huge part of that whole, I mean, even with the Bears, he was good. They didn't use him right, but as soon as he came over here to Carolina, he's been a pivotal part of that offense. He's been the bolt that holds the whole thing together. And he was already eyeballing the booth when this injury happened last year, and he got healed up. He tried to make it happen again this year. I think his days in the NFL are probably done.
Yeah, which again, sad, but on to the next foot issue. Christian Kirk broke his foot and is done for the season.
The foot theme.
Yeah, whole foot theme. Rex Ryan would be loving it right now.
Yes.
If you don't know the reference, please go back and Google that one. We're not going to spend any more time on that.
He loves feet.
Yeah. Anyways, Christian Kirk's starting to break out a little bit. To me, this is especially concerning for Dynasty because when a receiver loses big chunks of his rookie year because of injury, it's real tough for them to get back. Granted, there are exceptions. People are going to look at like Odell. Odell missed for the first 6 weeks, and everyone loves him. But then again, on the other side of that, there's also Kevin White. So, there's more evidence to show that when wide receivers, miss heavy chunks of time, especially in their first 3 years due to injury, and especially in their rookie year, and then going through their next 3 years, they kind of never really get going. And that's sad to see because Christian Kirk just looked really, really good. So hopefully he's able to recover from the broken foot. That's not something that should be a difficult recovery for him. But in terms of redraft, he is donezo. So
he gone.
Yeah. There's not much left in Arizona, guys. I mean, there wasn't much to start with, and now there's even less. So moving slightly up from the feet to the ankle, we got Matt Breida. He's out this week. Apparently, he injured his ankle in the pregame warmups. Still played a little bit, but we kind of saw the emergence of Jeff Wilson Jr. And I don't know if it's the emergence of Jeff Wilson Jr. or just the fact that it's like just even more confidence that Kyle Shanahan runs really great running offenses. Like just anybody can run behind that system.
Yeah, he's a high priority in the waiver wire this week because he's the only game in town there. It's and they're playing Denver this week. They're about halfway through the league as running defenses are concerned, but he's the only show in town. So if you don't have Jeff Wilson or you're looking for running back this week, you can pick him up.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna do it because I traded for Matt Breida in one league to try and make my playoff push, knowing that he gets injured here and there, but it's what I needed to do. I thought I could get a little explosion, hoping he would stay well for me. But thanks, Matt Breida. And James Conner causing all sorts of hoopla, especially out on Yahoo. James Conner is out with a sprained ankle. He's definitely going to miss week 14. Maybe more. We haven't heard a ton yet, but he should. He's definitely going to be out for week 14, which means Jalen Samuels is going to be a starting running back. Just about everybody has said this already, and it is a huge deal. It's all over Twitter. If you haven't heard it already and you're playing in Yahoo, somebody probably beat you to the punch stealing Jalen Samuels, because Jalen Samuels is dual listed as a tight end and running back. So you can start the starting running back for Pittsburgh, which has one of the better running offensive lines, one of the better running offensive schemes, as your starting tight end.
This is funny because this has happened all year long, and it was listed as a running back tight end ever since the draft day on Yahoo. And now all of a sudden, because it's a big situation, he's got a starting running back role, and Yahoo won't change it. They're calling it a cheat code. They're saying this is BS. Change it to regular running back. Blah blah. But the guy was a running back tight end the whole year long. So just because everybody complains about it now, Yahoo just can't bend over backwards every time somebody wants something done, or because they're in their league they don't have Jalen Samuels and they can't use him as a tight end. Just let it be. I don't get the commotion about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's oh God, who was the guy? It was like 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, was it Ty Montgomery?
He was running back wide receiver.
He was running back wide receiver, and he became the starting running back for the Packers. And it was a cheat code because you could start a starting running back as your wide receiver. I mean, that stuff happens all the time. If Tavon Austin was any good, you'd be able to start him as a running back wide receiver because he's dual listed. I mean, granted, Zeke is knock on wood. Zeke is never going to get hurt, and he's going to be amazing for the rest of his entire career, and will never miss another game. So this won't be an issue. But
sure,
yeah, definitely, that happens in football, right?
Yeah, I hope you just jinx yourself.
I don't. Cowboys, Super Bowl champions. You heard it here first, folks. Anyways, let's move on. Colt McCoy. Wow, can it get any worse for the Redskins? Colt McCoy broke his leg and he is out for the season. Watching the replay of this, I mean, I'm no medical expert. I don't really see how he broke his leg on the play. It looks like he just kind of twisted it funny, and he fractured I believe it was his fibula, and he's done also. So unless you were in a really strapped in a super flex league, you weren't really starting Colt McCoy anyways. But Colt McCoy, he gone.
Yeah, now you got Dirty Sanchez in there.
Yeah, get ready for the next butt fumble, guys.
You want to talk about fantasy implications? Last night, I had Jordan Reed last year in a game that would have got me into the fantasy playoffs. And I needed him to have – I was down by 0.1 points. I needed him to catch one ball, fall on a fumble, anything. It was a PPR league. One catch for -1 yard would have even done it. But he got an absolute 0 last year. And then this year I was up by 1.7 points. That's all I needed was Jordan Reed, minus a quarterback, not to get any points, not to get 1.7 points. And what does he do? He catches one pass for 10 points, and he caught one after that, I guess. They had a total of like 2.2 points yesterday. But it's all I needed him to do was just get lost for one week with no quarterback play. And he screwed me again. I have the case of Jordan Reed on my fantasy football teams.
Yeah. Well, that was me and Davante Adams last week. And you know what? We're going to jump right into our recap of Week 13 by me saying, Mr. Adams, I am sorry. I was salty. I was angry. I lost in my emotion. And as fantasy players, as soon as you do that, you're making bad calls right then and there. You're really, making your gut calls. I say it all the time. Fantasy football is a game of faith. We put a lot of faith in these guys that we think are going to do good. We hold on to guys forever because we have faith that they're going to be able to do something. Mm-hmm. And it's that negative faith also of like, no, I have faith that this guy is a bum. He's not going to do anything ever, no matter what you show me or anything. It is faith. It's borderline cult mentality. And I took a moment last week and I bashed you Davante Adams. And I just want to say my apologies because even when Green Bay is terrible, and let's face it, they were terrible this past week. They lost to Arizona. Davante Adams, you were still able to be number 6 wide receiver on the week. You continue to prove that you are a great fantasy asset. And even though last week I needed you to be better, I get it. Green Bay is broken. I believe that's proven. They fired their head coach. Mike McCarthy is gone.
He gone.
I'm saying he gone. I'm surprised they're not celebrating. We need to get that as like a catchphrase for this episode. But I'm surprised Green Bay didn't have a little mini parade, and that's a little bit harsh on Mike McCarthy. But the fact of the matter is, Green Bay has been broken this whole season. They are not playing good football this whole season, and bottom line, that comes down to him as the coach. And all accounts are that, Aaron Rodgers would get play calls. He'd roll his eyes in the huddle and then change it and then run his own play because it got that bad. Fact of the matter, Green Bay, you're 4-7-1. One of those losses is to Arizona. Arizona is the next team mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Right now, there's Oakland and San Francisco because they're both 2-10. Arizona's sitting at 3-9. because you gave them a win, Green Bay.
Yeah, you had an excuse earlier in the season when Aaron Rodgers couldn't even move in the backfield, but to lose this late in the season with, still a pretty decent. I mean, you're down Geronimo Allison, you're down a couple other players, but you pretty much most of your team is still intact, and to lose now, they got to make changes. Everybody saw how mad Aaron Rodgers was just to be on this team now. It was almost to the point where Aaron Rodgers wanted to say, "Hey, it's either him or me because this isn't going to work anymore."
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch Aaron too, he's like backpedaling and just kind of sidearm slinging it, and some of the throws that he makes, he's just not making anymore. And I don't know if it was the injury or what, but it looks like he's not getting the same zip on the ball. And maybe that's timing with his young guys. Maybe that's the passing lanes not being what they should be because their offensive line isn't that great right now. Like, there's all sorts of different pieces that when there's 22 people on the field, it's hard to say that it's one thing. But
who do you think is going to be the coach in Green Bay next year?
It
won't be Joe Philbin. He's not going to be there. He's already proved that he's just a coordinator, not really a head coach.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people talking about McDaniels coming from the Patriots to go there.
He's going everywhere, though. He's not going.
I feel like everybody talks about him. Who was the coach that they were saying was going to go to the Cowboys? Riley, I think it was the college coach.
Guy from San Diego.
I don't remember where he's from now. He went with no, it was Baker's coach, I want to say, wasn't it? We sound like morons at this point. But, God, I really can't remember. I can Google it later. You can Google it on your own, people listening. But I'm going to go it's going to be a college coach, partly because that offense needs to be revamped.
Yeah.
And that defense has always been in that mindset of they need to be just good enough. So I don't see them bringing in a defensive head coach or a defensive coordinator to be head coach because, let's be honest, that's not Green Bay's game. I would be so shocked if that's what they did. They're going to try and bring in somebody, maybe somebody that I heard the other day was the quarterback coach from LA has been getting some hype around the league. Maybe they bring in somebody, the first branch off the Sean McVay coaching tree.
Well, you see nowadays in the NFL that you got teams like the Rams and the Chiefs. I mean, they don't even have a defense. Those teams, they have good players, but no defensive scheme. They score 50 points a game and they give up 47 points a game. So it's you don't even need a defensive coordinator anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean that's where I would go with it. But yeah, so my apologies, Davante Adams. You're still the man. I needed you to get that one more catch. That one more catch. I could have had a grand Davante Adams. You cut me real deep, but I'm here to apologize. I understand I made a mistake.
He understands. He forgives you.
Does he? He forgives me.
He told me.
Yeah. Yeah, and he definitely listens to the pod. Definitely. All right. In that game with Green Bay and Arizona, anything else you want to talk about there? We already talked about Kirk Cousins going on IR. Anything about Chase Edmonds?
Just a couple touchdowns. He had, a handful of carries for 60 yards, and he vultured a couple touchdowns. That's that's going to happen from time to time. That's why they play these games, and that's why the fantasy football makes you sick sometimes. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and we talked about this real quick before jumping onto the show too. Chase Edmonds, he looks fancy right now. He looks good. You're not trusting him in the playoffs, so unless you have David Johnson or you have a roster spot where right now you should be picking up handcuffs, yeah, you're not looking twice at Chase Edmonds.
No,
it's not happening. So
you should be on your playoff roster as a backup, as a handcuff if you have David Johnson, but that's about it.
Yep. Or if you have a roster where you have one spot that you have nobody in, like you have some garbage player in there, or a second defense, get rid of your second defense,
or a second kicker.
Well, nobody should ever have more than one. No one should have one kicker, let alone more than one kicker.
I agree, but I'm stuck with him in all my leagues.
Or a second quarterback, unless you have a guy that's going up against one of the best defenses in the league, and you need that one guy. Now's the time to look at weeks 13, 14, 15. 14, 15, 16, and just kind of get those things sorted out. But yeah, if he's not a handcuff, don't go out and pick him out thinking that he's going to be something. Dynasty, good, go get him, whatever. But anything else in this one, John?
No, it was an ugly game. There's not much to talk about there.
Yeah, Fitzgerald had a great catch like he usually does. But let's jump into one of the best games of the week, though. Steelers and Chargers. I so much wish that I stayed up to watch this game. I just watched parts of the condensed version of it where I was just going snap from snap. But to be actually in that moment where it's oh man, the Steelers are going to blow this. How are they going to? No, they're not going to blow this. Can they blow this? They can't blow this. Holy cow, they actually blew it.
See that stat, 221-1. That's the first time. This is the 221st game, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. This is the first time they blew a 14-point lead at home.
Yeah.
220 or 229 games without blowing a 14-point lead at home. So I watched history right there. And I watched my guy, who I have across the board, Keenan Allen, run all over the field, make crazy catches everywhere, make a perfectly intercepted ball that bounced through two defenders right into Keenan Allen's hands for a second touchdown. It was a great day to be a Keenan Allen owner.
Oh, yeah. And next week's going to be a great day to be a Keenan Allen owner also. If you tune in, typically we usually do our moving up and moving down, but this is no rules. This is what we do. No rules this week. Keenan Allen is my guy this week that I'm propping up because, one, the Bengals just suck, and two, the Chargers just look incredible right now. So, yeah. The Bengals have no secondary. They have no defense. So, yeah, fire up Keenan Allen.
Outstanding. Yes, I agree. The more, even though I'm out of the playoffs in almost every league now, I still have Keenan Allen going into one league that I'm in. So, fire him up.
Yeah. What about the man God?
Well, Keenan Allen caught so many passes because he had somebody throwing to him by the name of Phillip Rivers. It was awesome to watch these two guys work together. Phillip Rivers and his 18 kids all had a great day probably a great dinner after this game with all his completions, and it worked out great for the whole Chargers organization. I'm moving up Phillip Rivers this week because I think even though he's been up all season long, it's impossible to move him down. He just makes things happen. His completion percentage is outstanding. His receivers are everybody's clicking. It couldn't be a better situation right now, minus the running back kind of injury situation. But it couldn't be a better situation for quarterback receiver combo right now.
Yeah, I love it. Phillip Rivers, he's always been that guy, and it looks like they finally have a team around him that – they can make a legitimate run. They can make a legitimate run. I can see the Chargers matching up against just about everybody in this AFC.
Absolutely. I had the Rams and the Chargers in the Super Bowl this year from the get-go. So I'm okay with that. I agree 100%.
Yeah. I mean, some of the only losses that LA has had is been Kansas City super early on in the year when Los Angeles's defense was still reeling. I mean, an LA Super Bowl would be crazy.
Yep.
But yeah. And what are your thoughts about the two running backs on the Chargers? Eckler and Justin Jackson.
I think we. I like Justin Jackson. I like Eckler. I think we talked a little bit. I think we talked a little bit before about the share that'll be going on. For last week, and it's the same thing. I like Eckler again. They're playing a horrible defense, like you said, worst rushing defense in the league actually. So I think it's. You look for both of them to get about anywhere from maybe 14 to 17 fantasy points, just catching, running. It's going to be a free-for-all out there.
Yeah. I see. My thing is, I think Eckler has proven that he is not the guy that you run on first down behind your guards. Just don't do it. Like every earlier in the season when Gordon missed a game, they tried running Eckler, and he ran into the same issues. Like he's not an inside running type of guy. He's a receiving type of guy, like one of the best receivers out in space and doing what he can out on the perimeter. He needs to be in that role. Justin Jackson, though, he looked great going up in between the guards, going in between the tackles. Like those inside runs were phenomenal for him. I honestly think you're going to see a bigger split with Justin Jackson getting more carries, but those carries are going to be the less efficient kind of inside runs, where you're going to see Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler he's like Duke Johnson last year, where Duke was a phenomenal fantasy play because he didn't get a ton of volume, but the volume he got was super efficient.
Well, this is PPR, and we're talking about, and I like PPR running backs, so this is why he's going to have a couple more fantasy points, which is what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yep. Yeah, I think going against the Bengals, though, you're going to see a lot more Justin Jackson, partly because I think the Chargers win this one with ease, and
game flow,
and they want Justin. They want to see what he can do, and he's going up against the worst defense in the league. Maybe not the worst defense in the league, but
they're the worst running defense,
rushing defense, and let's be honest, they're not very good in defense right now. So. I'm willing to go out there and say I think Justin Jackson outscores Austin Eckler even in PPR scoring this week.
It'll be close, but I almost want to bet you a little box of chalk-covered peanut butter-filled pretzels. That would be my bet, but
done. Deal. It's on the line.
Outstanding.
You heard it here first, folks. Chocolate-covered pretzel, peanut butter, something.
Don't worry, I'll chew them on the air. I'll chew them on the air while I'm doing the next podcast. Don't worry,
won't happen. And anything on the Steelers side? I mean, we talked about Jalen Samuels. John, you're propping him up as one of your guys. I mean, how do you put a running back who is clearly a tight end in your running back prop up, sir?
Clearly a tight end. I mean, let's get something straight here. I mean, he's not Eric Ebron, but he's a tight end. Okay, so. Yeah. But I like this guy. I've always liked him. He's someone that I wanted to get a shot all year long. As soon as Bell went down, I actually thought that Samuels was going to get the job. Didn't work out that way. Connor took it over. I really hope that Jalen Samuels can come in and prove himself and maybe even steal this job from Connor. A lot of people are doubters saying it's not going to happen because of what Connor did, but Connor's done. But Connor's had a couple bad weeks lately. He's not getting the ball as much. He's not, a couple fumbles. A couple missed catches. I'm not saying I'm losing faith in him, but I'd love for Samuels to come in here and make something happen. But again, he's going to be in kind of a timeshare situation himself. So I'm not sure he'll get that fighting, that chance that I'm expecting him to get. So,
who do you start at tight end? Jalen Samuels or Eric Ebron?
Here we go. Well, I know what you're going to say about it, your Ebron buddy, but if. I'm not even going to answer that question. I don't even want to, because it's going to be Eric Ebron.
Who would you start at tight end? George Kittle or Jalen Samuels?
Oh, George Kittle in a heartbeat. The problem is just because he plays two different positions doesn't mean he's a good tight end. He's a good running back. He's like an H-back, like somebody who can play running back, can play tight end, can play everything else. But I think he's a better running back than he's a tight end. But he has the ability to play tight end because he's so he can block. He's a good blocking running back. So that's the situation.
I have a quick question: who's going to get more fantasy points in your tight end position, Jalen Samuels or George Kittle?
George Kittle, I think. Even though he had a bad week last week, I think George Kittle is a almost every week play, without a doubt. Probably top 3 or 4 tight end with the rest of the Ertz and
his bad week was still 13 points, by the way.
Yeah, right, exactly. And everybody's MFing the guy. 13 points for a tight end.
Eric Ebron's no touchdown game was still 15 points.
Oh God, I'm so sick of talking about Eric Ebron.
It's only good that Pat, like, see, I think Pat created this whole elaborate ruse that he's buying a house only so he doesn't have to hear about Eric Ebron being the third best tight end in fantasy football or the fourth best. But
I'm gonna go buy a house. So I don't gotta hear it anymore either.
that's a terrible reason to buy a house. Other than that, as far as the Steelers, you're starting Juju, you're starting AB. If you got Roethlisberger, you're probably playing him. You're not doing anything new in the playoffs. You're probably not running Vance McDonald or Jesse James unless you kind of have to. So
yeah, go with your studs. Go with who got you there. That's what it's all about. You drafted a team like, Seth, like you were talking about before. You drafted these guys, have a confidence in them. You got confidence in them. They got you to playoffs. There's no reason to make a lot of changes right now, unless you absolutely have to. If you lose a guy like Connor or anybody that got suspended for kicking girls, that kind of stuff, then you have to make changes. But go with who got you there.
Yeah, which, by the way, let's touch on that just super fast. Let's go back to Kansas City. I mean, that was a game worth talking about anyways. And talk just briefly about Hunt. First of all, it's all over the news cycle. If you're listening to us, you're listening to other people as well. I don't think most people are listening to us as their one-stop shop for fantasy podcasts. So we're not going to spend a ton of time kind of, diving into it. But obviously what he did is, just absolutely wrong. He should have, should definitely see something kind of disciplinary come out of this. I think that's definitely going to happen. I hope it's not the end of his career. And I think people misread that. But like, his only career that he's ever had is playing football. That's like, I make one mistake and people tell me that my career as being a teacher should be over, which a lot of times that is also true with teachers. But you don't tell the fry cook at McDonald's, oh, you made a mistake, you should never be a fry cook anymore.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that people don't understand is that he told the Chiefs that he was in his room. He had no idea what happened that night. He was in his room. He had nothing to do with involvement in this whole situation. And then this tape came out, shows him, charging and kicking and everything else he's doing, to somebody. And, and I guess on top of that, there's 2 or 3 more incidents that he may be involved in right now that are come out. So first of all, he's on the exempt list, which means he's not getting paid. The suspended games, it's not like he's got time served for this exempt list situation. His suspension doesn't start until he's off the exempt list first of all, and then after he's off the exempt list, then they're going to find out. So this is a horrible time for him because the more and more things that come out of the skeletons in his closet, the longer he's going to sit on the exempt list until they make it. I mean, he could be out for 2 full years if everything that's true is what they're talking about right now. The things that he's possibly accused of, the other situation. So, and good, maybe 2 years out of the league, maybe it'll be a message to some of these guys. I think it'll be a full season. The rest of this league on the exempt list, and then all over the offseason, they'll find out all the facts, and then he'll probably be suspended all next year. But, maybe this is a wake-up call for some of these knuckleheads that don't know how to behave themselves, or, they don't act like animals, when they're in public or anywhere for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's a societal issue because this stuff happens with, everyday members of society, and it becomes amplified by the fact that he's a football player. And, I don't disagree with the comment of, he's making millions of dollars and he's on TV every Sunday. So part of what comes with that is that your life is put under a microscope. But to think that just because that's the case, that they're not just members of society as well, is sad. And that brings up a larger point of that this is still a part of our society. And that right there is what needs to really be addressed.
All this stuff was all it happened it happened all through history, and it's always been swept underneath the rug. Oh, don't worry about it. He's in the NFL. We'll either give somebody an envelope to shut him up, or you never find out about it. 'Cause it didn't make the news, or the team guy made it all hush hush or whatever. Now these things are being addressed. Social media, video cameras, hotel cameras, all things that are out right now that catch you in the act doing this stuff. There's nowhere to hide anymore, and everything's on TMZ, and everything's on. People can't wait to get their money. I got the video for you. Give me my money. I got this guy. I got him. They blackmail everyone. And that's it. There's no way to hide anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, the best response to that is just to make better decisions and don't do it. So with that being said, again, not trying to minimize the actual incident at all, but trying to get to what we talk about, which is fantasy football.
The guy's a great talent. I wish the best for Spencer Ware. I wish the best for everybody involved, families. I hope it comes to some kind of conclusion. The guy can get his life together, maybe see a counselor, and get back on a football field and do what he's wanted to do probably since he's been 6 years old, is run a football in the NFL. And we all want to see that.
Yeah. And it's Kareem Hunt, not Spencer Ware. Spencer Ware is the guy that it's going to kind of impact the most. And Spencer Ware, I wasn't that impressed with him this week. His fantasy week was saved by a touchdown, but you're moving him down, so I'm assuming you weren't very impressed with him either.
No, I just think that Damian Williams is going to start cutting into that a little bit too. And on top of that, they're playing Baltimore, the number one rush defense this week. So it's as much as the lights on him and he got a shot at everything. He couldn't have picked a worse situation to be in this week with great rush, a great running team. And then they're playing a team in Baltimore who runs the ball all the time, a quarterback that runs the ball all the time instead of passing. So that's going to chew a lot of clock up. His touches are going to be minimal. He's going to be sharing the backfield with Damian Williams. So I'm not all about. I'm moving him down.
Yeah. See, now this is a game that I'm not necessarily excited to watch, but I'm really interested to see how it plays out, because the Ravens have a really stout defense. That's what kind of back to what we're talking about with Green Bay, where like they're not known for their defense. Baltimore is known for their defense. It's a historically strong defense. And I want to see a historically strong defense go up against the Chiefs and a team that is going to run the ball against the Chiefs, who the Chiefs have just a porous defense all around. So are the Ravens going to be able to, are they going to be able to run the ball, limit the amount of plays that Pat Mahomes has, and limit the amount of plays that whole Chiefs offense has in order to score? And do they make a game out of it? And, let's point out one fact here. Yes, it was late, but the Raiders made this a contest way closer than a team eliminated from the playoffs should make for a team that is like everyone thinks is making it, deep into the AFC playoffs at minimum.
I couldn't believe when I saw those scores popping up what was going on. I turned the game on towards the end, and the Raiders just kept fighting their way back, and I couldn't believe it either. They didn't belong to be in that game, and somehow they made it a very good contest.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like the Ravens, they're a team that has a lot of question marks. That's for sure. But I feel like they're a team that, I'm interested to see how does that defense match up against the Chiefs offense, and how does that running game, how does that control the Chiefs game? Because that might be a recipe for success against the Chiefs.
I don't think there's any way to really slow them down, but I mean, if you can control the ball for 55 minutes, I guess it'd be great. But the Chiefs are going to get the ball, and they're going to make things happen, no matter how good your defense is. I guess Baltimore, just with a running quarterback that runs the ball all the time and a decent running game, but at some point in time when you fall behind, you're going to have to throw the ball, and I don't think Lamar Jackson has it in him yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Chiefs defense is bad enough where the Ravens will be able to put points on the board on enough drives to keep this game close enough where they don't feel that they don't have to push the passing game with Lamar Jackson. And I'm curious because you have him marked down as a guy that you're not looking forward to. You're not looking forward to what Lamar Jackson has this week. And I'm not propping him up, but I'm definitely not propping him down. I think he's kind of like right in that range of like, I'm not excited to start him, but I'm not going to not start him if he's the guy that I've been running with for the past 2 weeks as my streamer.
I get it. The guy, he's going to run the ball 15, 20, 26 times, whatever it is. He's going to get his runs. He's going to get his running yardage. And especially if you have bonuses in your league, 6 points bonus for 100 yards rushing. He's going to get his runs. He's going to make things happen. He's going to wait for the play to break down and all the receivers to go out and then run this outside or find a seam up the middle and get 15 yards. He's electric. He is good. But if the Chiefs come out of this slinging and they're up 28-0 right from the get-go because they shut down the Baltimore offense, so they stopped a couple drives, they got a fumble, or Lamar Jackson doesn't come back from concussion protocol or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen there, but if the Chiefs get ahead and they force Lamar Jackson to throw the ball, that's definitely not a strong suit. It's okay when they're winning the games and he's running the ball and they can keep the clock moving and he can keep getting 15-yard and first downs and 12 and 15-yard runs. But I don't think the Chiefs get a hand of this game early. It's going to be donezo for Lamar Jackson and his running game.
Yeah, I can see it. I just. I think there's a stronger possibility of it being a slightly closer game, but I can definitely see, a big chunk of the other part of that possibility is that the Chiefs, with Tyreek Hill being able to score from anywhere. And yeah, Tyreek Hill had a bad week last week, but he was also missed on, 3 deep balls?
Yeah, just missed
on 3 deep balls. Any one of them changes his Tyreek Hill. This is why you can't draft him in the first 3 rounds. Blah blah blah. Tyreek Hill, I hate that narrative about him. But literally, he's one of those catches away from having another monster week, or maybe not monster, but another really strong fantasy output.
Those catches aren't going to elude him every week. He's going to catch those more often than he's going to just miss them.
Yep. And you have Kelce, you have, maybe Watkins comes back this week. Yes, they take a hit in their running game with Spencer Ware and Damian Williams, but it's still not a massive downgrade. Remember, what was it, 2 years ago, Spencer Ware was the starting running back for the Chiefs, and he looked just fine. So, that Chiefs offense, yes, it takes a knock, but I could see them still being able to score from anywhere. I could see the other side of this possibility of the game of, the Chiefs in 10 minutes put up 21 points, and then the Ravens are sitting there like we don't have anything. We literally don't have a game plan for being down 21 in the first quarter.
Right. I was kind of hoping to see a little more Chris Conley this year, but that's not going to happen because I think Watkins is coming back. So it is what it is.
But all right, let's move on to another big game. And this game was just an absolute jewel for me. I'm going to go all the way back to Thursday. Cowboys Saints. Is it time to hit the panic button? Drew Brees, he's terrible, right? There's a lot of sarcasm there.
He's so bad.
Heavy sarcasm.
Yeah.
He's terrible, right? We need to get rid of him, cut him, drop him.
Yep.
Every Saints player, they're terrible. Get rid of them, right?
Absolutely horrible.
Okay.
Except they're playing Tampa Bay this week, so you're probably going to see a different Drew Brees than you did last week.
Yeah. Can we just take a moment and yes, I'm a Cowboys fan. I get it. That defense looks incredible. Like, they look so fast. They look like the way they were covering passes. It was a joy to watch as just a fan of football, and as a fan of the Cowboys, a double joy.
To be honest with you, I don't like the Cowboys at all. They're one of my least favorite teams in the league, so I'm sorry about that, Seth. But they looked very good on Thanksgiving. They've looked very good in every game I've seen them playing right now. The Cowboys are, especially that Van Der Esch kid, or what's his name?
Van Der Esch.
That kid is, when I saw him get drafted, I'm like, he had neck issues. I'm like, what's going to happen here? Man, what a surprise. What a delightful surprise that kid has been for that defense.
Oh, yeah.
He is everywhere.
And if Sean Lee can ever be healthy, that means your linebackers are the kid Van Der Esch, Sean Lee, Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
Like, those three alone are starting linebackers on any team.
Yeah.
And you have all three of them that could be on the field. All three of them are sideline to sideline players, tacklers. And that defensive line that defensive line has been great for the Cowboys. And now the secondaries coming on. They played a great game against, wow, they shut down the Saints.
They have good players. They have good individual players. They have good position situations, and they have a great scheme. It's not very common to see all those things all mesh, and they're just meshing. And like their fantasy, I don't know where they're at as far as
they're like 6 in some leagues, depending on your scoring.
Yeah, they're just. They're really 6 doesn't do them justice. It's what they're doing on the football field to people.
Yeah, but
it's hard to say. It's hard to say that.
Yeah, as far as the Saints, though, one last thing. One last thing to toot the horn about the Cowboys. Their tackling was phenomenal in this game, and I say that to talk about Kamara. I think Kamara is going to have a super duper game against Tampa Bay because their tackling is not phenomenal.
Not at all.
On plays where Kamara was out in space, one-on-one with one of the Cowboys were able to bring him to the ground. Tampa Bay is not going to do that, and Kamara, Ingram, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, they're all guys that I'm firing up this week.
Yeah, a lot of guys lost last week, and because of the situation the Saints were in, most people have the pairings of Michael Thomas or Kamara along with Drew Brees on their team. It's a great situation to be in, but last week it just didn't work out. So if you were able to make the playoffs and you got those guys in your team, it's sure the hell is not going to be anything like last week. I guarantee it.
Yeah. And the Cowboys go to face the Eagles. The Eagles actually looked a little bit better in the Monday night game against the Redskins.
Yeah.
I think that was mostly because the Redskins are just so decimated that they're like, seriously, who else?
They didn't look that good. They played – Washington's beat up. They are beat up, and they stayed in the game. They did a pretty good job. Washington's defensive scheme is pretty good, but their offense is just a mash unit right now.
Yeah. And, I think the Cowboys going against the Eagles, I still think you fire up Dak Prescott if you have him, because you probably have him as a pretty much a streaming type of option there, yeah. late QB1, somewhere in that range. I still think you fire him up unless, obviously if you have a Drew Brees, I like him a whole lot better. Amari Cooper, definitely fire him up. And obviously Zeke. We don't need to talk about that.
Right.
Anybody else you're going with the Cowboys there, or do you want to jump down to a new game?
We'll go to a new game. We talked enough about the Cowboys, believe me.
One more time. Cowboys for Super Bowl champs, right?
I didn't say that, but go ahead.
Let's quickly talk about let's try and try and wrap up in about 15 minutes. So we're gonna put a timer on here. See how much more we get into.
Yeah, real fast for me. Julio Jones sighting is probably coming back this week. I think he'll be someone to watch out for. And then I'm just a little bit disappointed in Devin Funchess this year. I think he's, everybody kind of hyped him up, but DJ Moore is really taking over that team now. So Funchess is kind of someone to watch. He's on his way out.
Yep. See, I was one of those guys that at the beginning of the year I was like, yeah, I'm taking Devin Funchess in the 13th, 14th round of redraft leagues because he's the number one guy in Carolina. And right now, he's been completely usurped. It is all DJ Moore. It's Curtis Samuels. And I'm throwing a name out there. I'm not sure what's going to happen with it. I think I like it, but Ian Thomas, he's one of those guys. You're probably not going to be starting him as your tight end because there's not a ton of great options out there at tight end, but you probably will be able to find something better than him. But just somebody to kind of keep an eye on and watch for and just kind of see what happens because he might really be a great late round tight end pickup for next year if he comes on looking good, builds a little bit of rapport with Cam, and this actually is the end of Greg Olson's career.
Yeah, he had 5 catches, 50 yards. That's enough for 9.5, 10 fantasy points, and he got kind of thrown on spot duty. So if he gets a little more practice in there, I think he could definitely be, for the way they use the tight end in Carolina, I think he's definitely someone you can add this year through the fantasy playoffs. If you're in a desperation, you're one of those teams that just snuck in without a tight end. He's someone I look forward to.
Yeah. And back to the Falcons real quick. The Falcons they were miserable against the Ravens. Coleman, how do you even start Coleman anymore?
Well, they knew this was going to happen. It was kind of I was in a situation like I don't know. I'm not going to say a lot of people, but I had a horrible decision between Jordan Howard and Tevin Coleman to choose from. There was kind of like, geez, which one? What am I going to do? Punch myself in the face or punch myself in the temple? I don't know what. It was a horrible place to be at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's God. What he was 6 for 8 or 8 for 6 or just something god awful like that. But and that goes back to the point where I think about Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City is obviously a different offense than the Falcons, but I mean, you got some similar kind of talents there. Matt Ryan is no slouch of a quarterback. Julio Jones is definitely no slouch of a wide receiver. Granted, they don't have a Kelsey on the Falcons. They have Hooper. Yeah, there's a downgrade there. And then in the running game, obviously a downgrade, but there's some definite, you have Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu. There's definitely some playmakers on that Falcons offense, and the Ravens they shut it down.
Yeah, the Ravens shut everybody down, so that's not too. I wouldn't worry too much about that, but I am worried about, Green Bay is like probably the 20th or 22nd ranked defense, somewhere around there, and even this week the projections for Ito Smith and Tevin Coleman are still, maybe anywhere from 9 to 12 points for each of them. It's not a good situation, and they're about the same in carries, the only reason that Tevin Coleman's rated a little bit more because he's getting some catches out of the backfield, but that's even becoming scarce. So I'm kind of scared about the situation because I have Tevin Coleman in Dynasty, and I was kind of looking forward to him having a good season, going to a new team next year because he's a free agent at the end of this year, and then becoming one of my blue chip players next year. But as the season goes on, he's becoming a stinker.
Yeah. All right, let's try and rapid fire through some of these. You ready? Colts Jags. 0 to 6.
Colts Jags 0 to 6. I'm not really.
I mean, does that like make you feel any type of way about Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton, Eric Ebron? I mean, the whole team put up a goose.
Yeah, it's 0. I mean, I don't know. It was bad.
Yeah. I mean, the Jags didn't really do anything there. 6 points. I mean, that offense, you're not getting much out of it. Maybe with Fournette coming back, they look a little bit better. But I mean, yeah, that wasn't the most. Ugh. But I mean, they do play Thursday night against the Titans. Maybe that's a little bit better for them. But Browns Texans.
You know what we could do? We could do some spreads real fast. Go on the line, do the spreads, and talk about the games. It's kind of an ad lib right now. That's because I know Pat doesn't like to do the football spreads. I like this stuff. So, Browns. Wait, hold on.
This was last week was the Browns Texans. You got the spreads up already for this week?
I do.
Of course you do. All right, you tell me. You said you'd be the host now, John.
All right.
We're going to close out with a new segment is John's the host.
All right. Jacksonville at Tennessee.
Jacksonville at Tennessee.
Tennessee is a 4-point favorite, 37.5. What do you think is going to happen there?
See, I honestly like the Jags here. I think that they looked so good against the Colts offense, and the Tennessee Titans, I don't like their offense, even though they've been clicking a little bit better as of late.
Mariota and Davis have been clicking. The rest of the offense really haven't. Yeah. Corey Davis and Mariota, and Tennessee has a pretty strong defense. Jacksonville's been playing like crap, but you know, I don't even care if Fournette's back. I don't even care what's going on. They just can't make anything going.
Yeah, I'm going Jags there. I don't like it. I probably wouldn't I wouldn't put money on it, but if it was just one or the other, I'm going Jags in the points.
All right, garbage game. Jets at Buffalo. Buffalo 3.5-point favorite. 38 is the over/under.
Buffalo, baby, and definitely Josh Allen.
These teams, they play, even though they're bad, they play each other so good all the time, depending on who's at home and who's away. Josh Allen looks very good. I wish that the Jets got their quarterback Sam Darnold to play this year, but it didn't happen. So they're both a mess. But I like Buffalo too.
Yeah. And Buffalo's at home. Buffalo plays better at home. So
yes, they do. Yeah, it's all right. Carolina at Cleveland. Carolina's a 1.5-point favorite in Cleveland, and a 47 is the over/under. Cleveland's a good team. They're up and coming. They're up and down every week, depending on how Mayfield throws the ball. Last week, I think he had 3 interceptions. He had -6 fantasy points before he even started going. But Carolina's got a pretty good defense. In Cleveland to be only a 1.5-point favorite. I like Cleveland.
Carolina, I feel like everybody's been moving the ball on Carolina right now. Like their defense is not what it was.
No, not at all.
Like, see, I'm going the Browns here.
So am I.
And partly because I think Cam is hurt. I think it's his throwing shoulder again, and I think it's not. Like, I think he's not saying anything about it, but like if you watch, especially at the end of last week, the one throw carried like 10 yards out of bounds, and then they pull him for what's his name, Heineke, whatever his name is, the backup in Carolina.
Yeah, right.
To be able to throw the Hail Mary, like
Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, like. And he threw 4 picks in that game. Like something doesn't feel right about Cam there. No. And the sad part is you're going to start him.
You have to.
I have Cam in a couple of leagues, and you have to start him. And I'm nervous because I don't think you're going to get the Panthers destroying the Browns like you feel it should be.
No, there's, that's Cam's. He plays a lot of head games with himself. When he's on a roll, and he makes things happen. But when things start going wrong, he gets down on himself. He starts getting pissy all the time. He's a very emotional player, and sometimes his emotions get the best of him. Yeah, and it is what it is. All right, Atlanta, Green Bay -6. Atlanta at Green Bay -6 with this situation with a new head coach. What do you think about that? 48.5 over/under.
I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole.
No, this is tough.
If I had to, I'm gonna go.
You have to.
I'm gonna go. Aaron Rodgers calls basically his entire own game, and Green Bay kind of says, "So long, Mike McCarthy. This is what we can do without you."
Yeah, it's kind of hard for teams to come in, especially a dome team like Atlanta, to go into Green Bay in the snow and the cold, and the wind, to go out there. And especially they don't know what's going to happen because there's a new offensive coordinator, new play calling. Aaron Rodgers might get the green light to call his own plays, so it's kind of hard for Atlanta to go in there and kind of game plan for this game because they have no idea what's going to be thrown at them. So this might be a tricky game where I would take Green Bay minus, but that's a big spread though. 6 points against the Falcons is a pretty big spread, but
yeah,
I think I'd still take Green Bay.
Yeah.
Indianapolis and Houston. Houston minus 4.5. Houston's on fire right now. Indianapolis is a very good team. They don't play it sometimes, but they're a very good team also. 49 is the over-under. What do you think about this?
This could be my favorite 1 o'clock game.
Absolutely.
I actually think it definitely is my favorite 1 o'clock game. Because the Texans are rolling. They're doing what needs to be done each time. And the Colts are a really solid team. I think you have a game here that this is a setup to, what could be a playoff game.
Yes.
So I'm going Andrew Luck. I think they are able to pull it out because Andrew Luck is able to pull it out.
I'll take that 4.5 and also take the under in this game too. 49 is the over-under. Indianapolis is a very underrated defense. They're very good. Houston also obviously has a very good defense. Andrew Luck's not sacked very much, but that's with Clowney and Watt on both ends there with everything else they have. 49 points is a lot of points in a game like this, even though they have great offenses. Yeah. I'm taking the under, and I'll take Indianapolis plus 4.5. Baltimore at Kansas City. KC minus 6.5. We talked about this game already a little bit. 53 is the over-under. I think maybe Kansas City. I'm up for 28, 35 points for Kansas City by themselves. Baltimore, I don't see them scoring much. I take the under 53 on this. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm definitely going under 53 because I think the Ravens defense does enough to hold the Chiefs to something respectable. But I'm not betting against the Chiefs in terms of a win, though.
No.
So Chiefs over Ravens.
Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs minus 6.5, and I'll take the under in this game also. New England because they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Yeah. Miami Dolphins, they are great. Every time New England goes to Miami,
is that real?
That's real. That's a fantastic chair. You should remember. I'll send you the link for the words. All right. New England at Miami. New England always goes into Miami and loses towards the end of the year. It's almost a yearly thing. New England's a 7.5 point favorite. 47 the over under. Just because of that, New England just has the number, especially a New England team that's kind of beat up and they really haven't found their way this year. This game, first of all, I like Miami. I'll take the 7.5 for the Dolphins. The 47, I don't want to touch that over under, but I think this is the last hurrah for the England Patriots altogether. I think Tom Brady's going to be gone. I think Belichick's going to be gone. I think Josh McDaniels going to be gone. I think the entire team is just going to just explode like an M80 and be completely separated when this season's over with.
As an avid anti-Patriots fan,
me too.
I would love all of those things happening. But honestly, the one thing that I'm actually curious about seeing what happens in this game is Devontae Parker made a showing last week.
Yeah,
and again, it's that thing of I can't quit you. I want him to be good. I want you to be good. Devontae, please be good.
You want him to be good. The guy's got so much talent, and every year I'm like, yes. Devontae Parker, you're my favorite. Come on, let's make it happen this year. Let's go there. And then he hurts his fingernail, and then his toenail breaks, and then he's got a bloody nose, and something else happens all the time, and he can't make it on the field. And it's so I'm just done. Go somewhere else and be good, and let me be proud he is. You sail off in the sunset with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bet on this, but I would go Dolphins here.
That's right, my man. I'll stick up for your Cowboys. You stick up for my Dolphins, all right?
Yeah.
New Orleans at Tampa Bay. We talked about this. 55-point total over under. New Orleans is a 8-point favorite.
Go Saints.
Yeah, Saints are going to. I mean, Tampa Bay. I tell you what. I really hope that Jameis Winston keeps up the good work here because, man, they're from being back from coming back from suspension and playing head games with both quarterbacks. Jameis seems to have control of this offense right now. He's doing pretty good, running the ball, throwing the ball. Chris Godwin made a couple touchdowns last week. He's finding his receivers. It's nice offense to watch.
Yeah,
I think 8 points might be a little bit much for a spread, but I like the over on 55.5.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay has the weapons to score. Saints, they have some defensive players out there that just need to click. Which
their defense got a lot better.
Last year they clicked. This year there's some hits and misses in there. But I'm still taking the Saints. Next,
New York Giants at Washington Redskins.
Who cares?
Giants -3.5. The total over under is 41. I can see this game going under with even such a low over under because they got Sanchez throwing the ball in Washington. The Giants really can't get anything going. I don't know. I don't want to touch the spread, but I think this is going to be a low scoring game with some.
This is a game I see the Giants winning because the Giants, even though they should just be tanking for a better pick right now, they're going to go in and they're going to play tough against the Skins, and the Skins have nothing there, and the Giants are probably going to walk away with a win and are going to hurt their playoff draft capital.
Yeah. Cincinnati at the Chargers the next game. Chargers are a 14-point favorite over the Cincinnati Bengals. 47.5 is the over-under.
I hate 14-point spreads.
That's a lot.
But I just don't think the Bengals are going to be able to do much.
The Chargers are on fire right now. The Bengals have no defense. The Bengals don't have any offense right now with no AJ Green, no quarterback. No. Mixon's they're probably just going to spy Mixon the whole time because he's the only show in town there. Tyler Boyd's not playing up to his potential. Even though it's 14 points, I think the Chargers are going to just roll Cincinnati this week.
Yeah, I agree. But that 14-point spread is huge.
That's a lot for an NFL game, yes.
Yeah. Next.
Denver at San Fran, 44.5 total over under, -5.5. Denver -5.5.
Denver -5.5. That's like an 8-point spread at a neutral site. But I still think
Matt Breida.
I think Philip Lindsay has one of an absolute another great one. Philip Lindsay, my God, I love that man. I'm so glad that I was saying to grab him. What was it, like week 1 or 2? Literally after I watched him play in that first or second week, was like, you got to get this guy. Do not even go near what's his name, Royce Freeman or Booker or any of those guys. You got to go get this guy.
Be careful. He's pretty small. So these things that are happening are because he's shifty and fast. But don't expect him to make 1,000 touches. He's gonna get. There's some guys out there to hit pretty hard in the NFL, and when he gets a taste of a direct hit once in a while, I don't think he's going to be everything everybody's talking about.
But he still runs. He runs through the holes in between the center and the guard. Like he's running in where there's the big hog mollies are, and he's doing it, and he just runs at a different pace than the other guys. And yes, that opens the door for injuries and stuff like that. I get that, but right now, don't jinx my man.
I'll try not to. I love that haircut, though.
Let the Tasmanian devil run. He's going to run wild down the 49ers because they have a trash rushing defense. So, yeah. Broncos make the cover, even though they're away.
Toilet bowl coming up. Detroit at Arizona. Detroit -2.5. Over under 40.5.
We just go with a tie.
Can we just go to tie? Can we go to the wash? Just flip a coin and get out of there.
Yeah, can it be like, guys? Can we just tie and you stay home as we stay home?
Detroit's got a handful more weapons and a decent defense. I think Arizona I don't know what happened last week, but I don't think they can recreate that magic. I think Detroit takes this game.
Yeah.
No.
You know what? I'm going to go Cardinals riding high, beat the Lions.
We'll see what happens there. But remember, Christian Kirk's out for the year too.
Who cares? Next game.
Next, Philly at Dallas. I'm sure you want to talk about this one. Dallas, a 3.5-point favorite, over under a 43, which is, slightly low.
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys. And not just hometown favorism. Like I think the Eagles looked really good against the Giants, not the Giants, but the Redskins, because the Redskins are just eviscerated because of injuries. And the Cowboys showed, yes, they make mistakes, but they were able to hold out to win against what everyone was calling the number one team in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm all about Dallas in this game too. The Cowboys are just playing too good right now on both sides of the ball to go against them. And Phillies, they are playing real sloppy on both sides of the ball too. So minus Zach Ertz and a little bit of a somewhat decent running game. I don't think they can do what they've been doing against the Dallas defense. It's just good, and so I'm taking Dallas.
Yeah, this is one of the games that the Cowboys could lose, though. Like, having been a Cowboys fan for long enough, like, this is one of the games where it's like, oh, the Cowboys should win this game. They should roll. Like the Giants game later in the week, later in the season, like that game frightens me because it's like that's the game they're going to lose. Like,
these divisional games are the worst.
Yeah, that they should just absolutely steamroll and eviscerate, and like that's the game that they end up just somehow choking on. And it's like, how? But
that's why all the money's in Vegas, buddy.
Yeah, definitely Cowboys. Cowboys at home. They're a very good home team against the Eagles.
Jerry World.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys all the way.
Pittsburgh at Oakland. Pittsburgh is a 10.5-point favorite in Oakland. 51.5-point over under.
Yeah, I think the Raiders were a fluke against the Chiefs last week, so I'm going the Steelers. The Steelers are going to be pissed off about losing to the Chargers last week. I think they take out that aggression on the Raiders. The Raiders can't stop anybody, so Jalen Samuels should have a great game. AB, Juju, Roethlisberger, one of those three are going to hit big also. And then the Raiders, yeah.
The Raiders are the Raiders, and Pittsburgh is not that good on the road. So Big Ben's notoriously bad on road games. But Oakland, it's going to be nice weather in Oakland. This shouldn't be. I don't think Oakland, like you said, they can't recreate what happened last week. I'll take the 10.5 in Pittsburgh all day long. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
Rams at Chicago. This is a huge game for the Bears fans.
I mean, this is a huge game just for football right now.
Yeah, but Rams -3 at Chicago, 52.5 over under. We should have Mitch Trubisky back this week. I think they're holding him out the last couple weeks to make sure he's good. Running quarterback, a passing quarterback. He's a better fantasy quarterback than he's a real quarterback, but he gets it done. Excuse me.
I mean, you didn't even talk about the best part of this game, which is the fact that you have the two, in my opinion, the two defensive MVPs playing, across each other. You have Aaron Darnold for the Rams and Khalil Mack for the Bears. And I mean, I think the problem here is that when you stack up the defenses, they look pretty similar. But when you stack up the offenses, the Rams win in a landslide.
Yeah.
And I think that's the undoing of the Bears here, is that they just aren't going to be able to compete with the Rams. And that's sad because the Bears, they've been the like underdog team that you want. Like, you're like, oh, okay, I like this team. Like, let's see what they can do. But then you're also like, wow, why do they do what they do? Like,
I just think sometimes, the Bears coaching staff tries to outsmart themselves. Sometimes there's 2nd and 1 and they try some crazy reverse pass and other shit instead of just giving it to Jordan Howard up the middle for the easy first down. They put themselves in a lot of bad situations by bad coaching. Sometimes I know that Nagy's trying to mix things up and make things happen and become this wizard of offense, but sometimes you just got to go with what'll get you there. What'll get the first downs. I love Matt Nagy. I hope he settles down maybe sometimes they're winning the games because they're calling all these fluky plays, but sometimes they just don't make sense.
Yeah, you mean like a throw by Tyreek Cohen to Anthony Miller at the last play of the game in order to tie it up with the Giants.
Yes, we turned the Red Zone channel off to watch the last half of the Bears game last week, and it was fantastic until the Giants came back and won. But those plays, those fluke plays, they do work. That's why the Bears are in a situation they are. But I just sometimes you just have to go real football. So you have to get those first downs. You can't; those trick plays aren't going to work all the time.
Which, just side note, can we get like a private investigator to find out what Jordan Howard did to Matt Nagy or Matt Nagy's wife that just has made him just the ugly duckling of this team? Because Jordan Howard, he's not anything to write home about, but he's effective. Why not? Why are you handing it off to a defensive tackle on a fullback dive? Why are you running weird little 1 yard fake handoff play action type of weird goal line 1 yard passes to Adam Shaheen? Why are you running Tyreek Cohen? Was it a reverse into a throw to Anthony Miller instead of you're at the goal line? You have a good running back in Jordan Howard. You have a decent offensive line. Why are you not just beating the defensive line and running the ball in?
As a Jordan Howard owner in multiple leagues, actually I traded Jordan Howard, and I made a trade that involved Jordan Howard for a first-round draft pick next year, and I thought this is going to be great. And, man, I hope he gets traded somewhere else next year. It doesn't fit the offense. We talked about it a couple times already this year, but, they're not using him. It's almost like they don't have a running offensive line. Every time the guy is supposed to, he gets the ball, there's somebody in his face 5 yards in the backfield. Even Cohen has to go back and forth for 30 yards, to try and make something done. But, that's all I have to say about the Bears this week is
the Bears.
My daughter says the Bears.
Nice. All right, next game up.
All right, Minnesota. The Monday night matchup is Minnesota at Seattle. The Seattle -3, Minnesota 4.5. I know they got the 12th man in Seattle, but I could see Minnesota coming in there. And this is going to be a great game, but I think Minnesota is going to win.
You know what? This is one of those games where I think it kind of happened last week where Kirk Cousins kind of showed who he was, especially with 2 weeks ago, which – Kirk Cousins also cost me some money, which we're going to let that slide. But I think the Vikings are, you have Adam Thielen, you have Diggs, you have Cook.
I remember they were uncertain last week because Diggs was a game time decision. We woke up with a sore knee. They weren't sure he was going to play. They're probably scrambling for some kind of, what's going to happen here? I'm going to throw to this guy in pregame just until we know that Diggs is going to play or not. So there's a lot of confusion last week. Put Minnesota probably in they probably had a lot of confusion right before the game started and didn't know what to do. So I'm going to give them a pass on that one just last week alone. If they do bad again this week, then they're going to come up with a different excuse from me.
Yeah, I see the Seahawks winning this one. In terms of fantasy points, though, I think Cook is going to have a really good game. You're obviously going to start Thielen, Diggs if he's healthy. Rudolph, you're not probably going to touch, even though it's not that bad of a matchup. And then for the Seahawks, the toss-up is who's the running back. Carson had a dislocated finger, which should be just fine. But,
they said he's going to play.
Does that do something for Mike Davis or Rashad Penny? Russell Wilson had a ridiculous efficiency number. He scored, 4 touchdowns on 11 passes last week. You
they're making
expect that, but I think the Seahawks take this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Tyler Lockett looks good. Doug Baldwin's finally, I'm not going to say finally starting to come around, but he looks okay. David Moore is making things happen. Yeah, he is finally healthy, or so he says anyway. But Just David Moore's coming at he's finding everybody. He's running the ball. He's passing the ball efficiently. I'm pretty happy with all of Seattle, but it's I like Minnesota a little bit more in this game.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is. We can't all be the same.
You are correct, sir.
All right. I think we're gonna wrap it up right there. We ran through the whole week 14, got into a whole bunch of what happened in week 13. Made a heartfelt apology to Davante Adams. I think we did pretty well for a pod here. Our no rules, just fun podcast.
I liked it a lot. It was a pleasure doing this one. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, and we're so much shorter than some of our other podcasts. We should
do more often. Some of these guys got big mouths around here.
Whoa. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. I am the At Home Dad. You can find me on Twitter at FF the At Home Dad. John, tell them where they can find you.
I am on the Twitter machine, John McLinn, at meatheads_75. I try to do the best I can to interact with everyone. My direct message is always open for any questions you have. Good luck this week in your playoff matches, everyone.
Absolutely. And make sure you reach out to at FFD260. Give us a follow there. Make sure you ask any possible start-sit questions, anything you got going into your playoffs, because we want you to do absolutely fantastic in your playoffs, unless, of course, you're playing against one of us. So with that, have a good night.
Adios.
And